To continue, I'll start on a personal note here, based on one of the comments I received. First of all, thank you for the positive comments, but on the other note, I'm going to hit the Christian issue again because I have to. When people ask me, what do you base your truth on or your sense of right and wrong, this is a great example of why Christians and all religious people are so brainwashed. If you need a book to determine for you what is right and what is wrong, I'm wondering what's going on in that head of yours that you need a book to tell you what is right and what's wrong. That scares the living crap out of me. That's why I so sincerely believe religion is the downfall of humanity. If you can't sense innately what is right and wrong, I don't want you anywhere near me. If you need a book to describe to you what's right and wrong, I can't help wondering what's going on in that head of yours that you want to do, but you choose not to because a book tells you not to. As a second note, I heard on Alex Jones yesterday an advertisement whereby he's supporting some sort of IRS debt settlement. Now, I think me and Alex are mostly on the same page. I know his heart's in the right place, but I definitely disagree with what a lot of his approach. He's promoting, today on his show, he had a substitute speaker, the Jason Burmis, I believe, whom I also like. But they talked about an arrest that took place. Folks, if you're going to go into a courtroom and whine and complain, "Well, you can't do this to me, Mr. Government, you can't do this to me," while you don't understand the rules, you make us all look like idiots. If you're going to play a game of chess and you want to move your rook or your knight in a certain direction, but you can't because the rules say so, don't you think you'll look like a freaking idiot if you try? It's exactly what you're all doing. You're going into these courts and morally crying, "Wah, you can't do this to me, it's morally wrong, wah," while you know nothing about the law. You embarrass everyone and you create bad case law. So listen up and learn. Here's where it starts in the New York VTL 155. Traffic infraction. Traffic infraction is not a crime. It's not a crime. Violations, also known as traffic infractions, shall be deemed misdemeanors, and all provisions of law relating to misdemeanors except as provided in Section 1805, which relates to a guilty plea, I'll cover the guilty plea in a moment, shall apply except that no jury trial shall be allowed for traffic infractions. Folks, this is case law supported. Everything needs to go to misdemeanor or felony. Everything needs to fall under the criminal procedure law. Therefore, you can pretty much throw out the vehicle and traffic law now that we know they need to adhere to the criminal procedure law, because everything falls under the label of a misdemeanor. Everything does. Now, what I'll do is, what I want to cover first is how the plea affords jurisdiction. No plea is required by law to a misdemeanor ever. Read the criminal procedure law. You don't ever have to plead to it. Why do they want to afford you that at all times? And why will they afford you every piece of paperwork that you ask for but is not what you're asking for in an effort to get you to plea? And why will they do everything they can to get you into their court? Because they need that plea. Once they have a plea from you, guilty or not guilty, I've covered the presumption of guilt in other videos, they're off and running. They need that plea. Why do you not have to plead to a misdemeanor complaint? Because you're entitled to the prosecutor's information first. Who's prosecuting the matter, folks? The prosecutor is. How often will you see a prosecutor's information in the case file in your traffic-related issue? Very, very rarely. Why? Because so much of the paperwork involved in creating a lawful criminal complaint / misdemeanor complaint is fraudulent to begin with. So if a prosecutor is going to then enter his prosecutor's information to prosecute based on that misdemeanor complaint, for which the standards are more stringent than a felony level indictment, he would be participating in fraud as well if the misdemeanor complaint was not genuine and bona fide. Guess what, folks? It almost never ever is. I dare say 99% of the time. That's why you will never see the required prosecutor's information. In other words, the prosecutor doing his job prosecuting the matter, because it's all a gargantuan fraud. And if he was to get caught up in that and actually offer prosecutor's information where the proper complaints don't exist, he would be caught in that fraud. So on to the New York CPL 150.50, the appearance ticket. This is the traffic ticket that you receive on the side of the road. Filing a local criminal court accusatory instrument. Dismissal of insufficient instrument. Now, on that note, you do not want to be in court challenging the sufficiency of a criminal complaint if you can avoid it, because you're going to be allowing judicial discretion when you do so. You want to do everything you can to keep the judge from exercising any judicial discretion ever. You would therefore be challenging jurisdiction from the get-go immediately. Once the judge can exercise his discretion, then he has full immunity, as I've covered in other videos. Do you want a dictator in a black dress on the bench telling you what is right and what's wrong and what you should and shouldn't be doing and what their rule over you is all about? Of course not. New York CPL 150.50 to continue. A police officer or other public servant who has issued and served an appearance ticket must, at or before the time such appearance ticket is returnable, file or cause to be filed with the local criminal court in which it is returnable a local criminal court accusatory instrument charging the person named in such appearance ticket with the offense specified therein. Are you guys ever reading these statutes? Ever? Or are you just going into court, like I said, and whining and complaining? How often is an accusatory instrument filed with these traffic tickets? Not often, but it does happen. When it does happen, such as the instance of an alleged misdemeanor, such as an aggravated unlicensed operator, for example, that is a misdemeanor, so we have to have a misdemeanor complaint as the accusatory instrument filed with that appearance ticket. Is that what they file with the appearance ticket? I want you to look at the paperwork next time and tell me. Go to the definition of misdemeanor complaint in the New York Criminal Procedure Law and read what is required and tell me, does it fit that definition perfectly? You will find almost 100% of the time it does not. Why? It is my contention. Let me see how much time I have left here. Sorry, give me a moment. Okay, I'm running out of time here. It is my contention if they did this law properly, they would in fact be following a constitutional doctrine whereby there would be a bona fide misdemeanor complaint sworn to in front of a judge by an injured, damaged party who can testify to the fact that he or she was damaged and or injured on the stand. You have a right to face your accuser. Since they can't pull this off, they need to take shortcuts whenever they can, because they know if it was done right, you would be afforded a jury trial as per due process, as per your inherent right, and they would be in a bind, because if you got the cop up on the stand and asked him, "Sir, how did I injure you when I went 10, 15 miles per hour over the speed limit? How were you damaged when I didn't wear my seatbelt? How were you injured or damaged when I didn't have my left headlight working because I can't afford to get it replaced right now?" Think about this stuff, folks. I need people. Please find more people to listen to my material. I'm looking for large numbers. If you stand up to these people, to this government, and you fight back and you're willing to go to jail for a few hours to a few days to assert this stuff, I'll teach you how to file habeas corpus shortly. That will help get you out of jail very quickly. The government will start to leave you alone. On a person-by-person basis, we can change the world. Are you with me or not?